So a little session overview. We're going to do a quick, about remote desktop, just a little intro. And then we'll talk about getting started and some real world examples, have a little interactive session. There is a break. It's a two-part session. We're not sure. I guess we've gotten a few people come in here and there saying that they were going to be coming from other sessions into here and seeing how much they were going to miss. So we're going to recap the first session at the beginning of the second one, and then just keep going from there. Just kind of do a little highlight. Is that one working?
Yeah, you want it?
No, I'll let you. Okay, so I'll start off and we'll go over ARD. So what is ARD? I get this a lot. From Apple's standpoint, it's the best way to manage the Mac computers on your network. And there's a keyword in there, and that keyword really is manage. We're all administrators, or maybe not all, but a lot of us are administrators of the Apple systems. And that's kind of why we're here at this conference, to kind of get insight from how other people are using it. And so another thing I guess, so you guys are all pretty much using ARD. I was wondering if there were going to be Windows people in here. So this slide's geared more towards the Windows people. But for you guys just starting out using ARD, how many of you guys have been using ARD for less than 2 years? Anyone? Okay, so a few people. So this may hit home a little closer to you guys. So I get this a lot. It's a Mac, right? Like, what is there to manage? Well, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a minute. I got to a company, this was years ago, and their idea of managing the Mac was, and it was a very heavy Windows environment with Active Directory integration. And they had a small pocket of Mac users that were, diehard holdouts. And so what these users did, or what the IT department did was, oh, that's great. See, I wasn't used to the podium. Okay. What those IT users did was they set up an admin account, and then they installed the software, and then grabbed the MAC address, put it on their IP table, gave it to the end users, and pretty much that was it. I mean, the only time they would ever see those Mac users again is if they had a problem. That's not necessarily a management solution, I think. There's a lot more you can do with the Macs from there. And these guys had perpetual licenses too with like Adobe and Microsoft. And when I got to this department, I went and did an audit. Some of their machines were like 2 or 3 versions behind on like Acrobat Pro and Office, things like that. And it's like, they're paying for the licenses. Why not keep things, up to date? And ARD is a really useful tool for that. So, obviously there's the Apple software updates. You can set update schedules and maintenance cycles for some of the situations we're going to talk about. One thing I will say, you guys are on computers that are frozen, so don't plan on anything being there if something restarts. We also did that because Apple was kind enough to give Penn State a copy of ARD, the actual admin, the app. So you guys do all have ARD installed, and it might get a little chaotic at times, but we'll reel that in. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So with that being said, you check software versions, and we're going to do some of this interactive stuff too. This one, you can actually use Unix scripts. I put in just because it's more recent, more relevant. Hopefully that doesn't become a bigger issue later on. You can remove old software. You can do version checks, you can, pull reports, use it as a help desk tool. You look at it, and there's a lot you can do. And the name is deceiving because it's not just a screen sharing. And for those of you, if anyone is using it strictly as a screen sharing app, it really is a more powerful tool than that.
So, don't know if y'all had a chance to really get a look at that long list. And, ARD really, for all the features that it has, it's well worth the $79 that you can pay. On the Mac online store, it's still listed as $4.99. Education price, I think it's like $2.99.
Yeah, $300.
So you don't want to pick it up there. If you want to get ARD, definitely go to the Mac App Store, pay the $79 price, and it's a newer version. So definitely pick that up. And it's not a VNC by any means. It's not a VNC application, not remote desktop connection. It's truly a lot more. I mean, all those tasks really drop into three functions. First being user and client interaction. I mean, you're observing computers, controlling them, interacting with the user, being able to share screens. If you're an instructor, you'll be able to highlight what a student is doing well by sharing that with the other students, or share your own screen and to illustrate a point as well. If you're in a support environment, you can screen share, or excuse me, you can chat with the user, find out what's going on, what they're experiencing, and resolve their issues remotely that way through observe and control. And then its main function is to deploy software and files, and that's pretty straightforward. The other thing you can do is schedule a task, housekeeping, mainly housekeeping and reporting. So you can schedule software updates, you can run certain Unix shell commands and schedule all of that, as well as set up a task server or just run a report outright and have it come down into the output screen, that information populate for you. So ARD is a two-part setup. You have to set up the client side and the admin console. The client side, you can configure one of two ways. You can do it through the GUI, and if you want to, for your Unix and Linux guys, you can use the kickstart command. One thing I will say about using the kickstart command, like other Unix and Linux commands, just dropping into the terminal and typing in kickstart will not work. What you'll have to do, because kickstart is actually contained within the ARD agent app, what you'll have to do is specify the full path to the kickstart command. And that's the same thing for the man page as well, if you want to get information on the flags that you can use. And we'll illustrate this here in just a moment. It'll be a part of our interactive piece. So we'll go ahead and do that now.
Yeah, and if you guys want to follow along, I'm going to release those of you who have screens that are locked. We'll start going from there. So if you guys want to follow along, this is going to be fun.
So we'll go ahead and go to the Apple menu system preferences and go to sharing, third row of icons. And so configuring the client, just put a checkbox there in remote management, and then you add in your user. Now here, this is a best practice tip here. With most systems, you're going to have an admin account, you'll have standard user accounts. What I recommend and what we do is we select the standard user account just in case, you know, the standard user account password gets compromised in some way. Whoever has the password will not have admin access to your machine. So definitely what you want to do is select the standard user account, which is demo in this case. If you're following along on your machines, go ahead and do that. And then to set the access for that user, you can click on individual tasks, or you can hold down the option key and click on one of them, and it'll select all of them. So we'll click OK there. So under computer settings, by selecting remote management status in the menu bar, that will pop this little binoculars icon for ARD, and underneath that, it says no administrator, but I don't know if you see it on your machines. Normally it would say ready if the client computer is added to an ARD list in the console, the admin application. What's convenient, really nice there, especially if you're in a support environment, if the user needs help, they could, if you want, send you as the administrator a message, and you go ahead and help them out, start up a chat session or observe their computer, control it, and resolve their issue that way. The other thing I'll mention is VNC. We're not going to select it here, but if you're coming from a Windows environment, you don't have to, you know, go to a Mac to try to connect to it with ARD. You can actually just activate VNC, populate here with a password, and use your own VNC console to connect to a Mac system. So here's a bit of interactive part. What we're going to do is get you going, get you engaged here. First off, in the first field,
Let's say what city you're from. We just want to see where
we'll
everyone's
just
from.
type in city you're
So
from.
we're from Denton, Texas, which is north of the Metroplex, the DFW area, if you guys know where that is, or where Denton is. And the second info field, let's put Penn State. We're gonna see if you guys are listening. And this is all gonna make sense here in a minute when we flip to the admin side. And then you guys already have side A, side B. Leave that
Right.
intact.
So this side over here to my left, you don't have it right. Anyway,
Yeah.
to my left, you're side A, side B, you're on my right.
And then there's another field right here, thawed. Like I said, we do have deep freeze on there. I think it says frozen in
Right, yeah, please don't change anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can change it, but it's just going to go back to frozen. So we have a deep freeze on here, and it's thawed, so that's why it says thawed on
Yeah,
ours.
you see the polar bear
Cool.
at the top.
Angry polar bear.
Yep. So go ahead and click OK there.
And that pretty much sets it.
So that's it for the client side using the GUI. We're going to drop into the terminal real quick, and I think Ryan is going to just type in man kickstart, and as you can see, nothing happens.
Why not?
So if we go ahead, type in man. So it's located in System Library Core Services, Remote Management, ARD Agent.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. So kind of view us here, resources, kickstart.
There we are.
And now we got good stuff
right.
happening here. So here are all the flags. And in the interest of time, what we're going to do is just take old Bob here. We're going to copy that.
And you have to do this from a root level,
Sudo.
yeah,
Yep.
administrator. System, library,
Core services, remote management, ARD agent, resources, or content resources. And paste, yeah.
Okay. And we're not going to do Bob, we're going to do
Demo.
demo.
So what we have here in this command is essentially the same exact thing that we've done through the GUI.
Yep.
We've given demo all privileges
options.
there,
Yep. So,
and so that's it. So this is how you would configure that through the terminal. For some people, that's just an easier way of doing it. If you're not familiar with Unix or Linux, you'll probably end up using the GUI.
Marques and I use hidden users on our machines, so I'll say right here, through the terminal, through the GUI, you don't see those hidden users on our machines. So we actually go through the GUI to kickstart our ARD access. Are any of you guys using hidden users? Like hidden from like totally hidden from all view, like from the login window? Okay, if you guys want any info on that, feel free to talk to us, or I'll
happy to show you how to
I'll
set that
throw
up.
the people that raise their hands to the wolves. All right.
And that's it for the client side.
All right. All right. So let's talk about the admin side. This is what we're all here for, right? I mean, we want to go from actually setting up to using it. This is a screenshot of one of my machines back in North Texas. It may look a little chaotic, but it's actually pretty organized. You can get a lot of info from just the basic view. We use labels and those info fields, and we'll talk about that in a minute, the ones that we just filled out, the y'all's machines. So let's jump right into it, huh? Okay, and you guys have the admin. If you guys want to open it, I don't think it's in the dock. You may have to go to the applications.
Spotlight it.
Spotlight it.
Command spacebar, remote desktop should pop up.
Launchpad. Yeah. So we're going to talk about a couple quick preferences. We already set up the preferences on your machines just for convenience and time's sake. So one thing that bugs me the most, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have found when you initially set up ARD, is this control feature. I don't have a mic. Can I grab the mic?
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to come down and talk to me.
There you go.
I saw him up there. Saw him up there eyeballing me, so I'm going to grab the mic. Sorry. Okay. So you add your computers, you double click, wanting to control them, and all of a sudden the info window pops up. And it's like, no, I didn't want to do this. So I change mine to observe. Marques changes his to control by default. I'm not going to go too far into this except for talk about the user names. If you guys are in Active Directory environments, it will pull the username from Active Directory on the current user that's logged in, which is kind of nice. Are they going to come yell? Okay, that's not them. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go to Control and Observe for a minute. Marques also has this one set a little differently. He takes full control when he takes over a computer because he is in a lab environment, and he has his instructor station set up like that also. Right. For me, I like to share the mouse and keyboard with the user so that, from a help desk standpoint, if they do need help, they can actually show me what they're talking about if they're hitting an error on something or having problems with something. Task server reporting labels we're going to go into a little later. And then security is a big one. So right now, you guys have allow control this computer checked. Please leave it that way. If you don't, we're just going to restart you, and it's going to go back to how it was. And that may not be fun for some of you. There are certain circumstances when you would want this enabled, when you guys wouldn't. For me, I have it enabled on one of my servers. It's my task server. It's a headless server, so I really don't want to go in to the server room and pull up the KVM. Because if you launch ARD on a server that you're remotely working to, and this option is checked, basically you can't, you still SSH into it.
You've locked yourself out.
But you've locked yourself out of the GUI at that point.
You got to do some extra work to get control again.
Yeah, so save yourself a headache if that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, question?
Yep.
In system preferences under sharing,
Yeah.
do you also need remote login enabled for remote desktop to work, or is that?
No,
No.
that's
No.
totally SSH. That's totally independent. So you
The
don't.
only thing that matters for this is remote management.
Right.
Correct.
Right, yeah, and I remember when I first started using ARD, I was doing both the remote login and remote management, thinking that they both needed to get
However,
be together.
if you're using VNC, which is normally not secure, and I believe this is correct, you'll want remote management, remote login turned on so that it is a secure connection when you're using VNC.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause see, I was just experimenting with VNC the other day, and I couldn't really get it to work, and maybe I had that.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll show you that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute. Also, the screen resolution through the VNC, there's some weird resolution issues on some of the VNC clients and viewers that try to connect back to the Macs. So it could have been something kind of random like
Yeah,
that.
depending on whether you're using real or tight VNC or ultra.
Right.
Yes.
Are you guys going to talk about the custom installer for the, remember, it creates a package to,
Package maker?
no, to,
Or,
Right here. I know.
you know where
We
he's
hadn't
going.
planned on it, but we can talk about it.
We can, yeah, we can. That's
it
fine.
sounds like to me like you guys just set these parameters when you make your build, and then you basically put out your build, and you don't need to make a client installer.
Well, I've used it. You've used it.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation. It depends if we're doing like a lab image for 60 or 100 machines that is easy to put in the image versus like I'll do this on the one-offs.
It definitely depends on your deployment process. I tend to, instead of a modular setup where I'm pushing out the operating system and then separate packages for various other settings, because I'm in a lab environment, I build a single machine, have everything the way I want it, create my image, use Deploy Studio, push it out. So, but yeah, you can certainly create a client installer with all the settings that you want for an individual user and give them that access and then push that package out.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Did that answer your question more or less? Okay. Okay, so back to preferences just for another quick second, then we'll get in and start using this. The other thing we were going to mention was down here, non-administrators using the ARD application, you can actually restrict that. How many of you guys are in like a general access lab environment or like a classroom lab? Some of you guys? Okay.
K through 12?
Any K through 12? Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is probably pretty good info for you guys if you're not using it this way yet. So you can actually restrict access to certain users and what they can do. I know Marques and his labs, you want to talk about that for a sec?
So since I have several general access labs, classroom labs, what I'll have is ARD-admin installed on the instructor machine that's connected to the projector. Obviously, the instructor will probably want to lock down the screens. That's pretty popular with the instructors because students are surfing the web, Facebook, and all that stuff. But also the ability to observe, make sure the student is on task, share the screen, things of that sort. But I don't want them shutting down the computers, putting them to sleep. It just makes my job more difficult. So I'll restrict what I'll allow the instructor to do here.
Or even installing packages, things like that.
Packages, installing stuff.
So
We don't want that.
You know, and for me, in a lab monitor, I'm in a general access lab, and we're actually replacing the college I'm in at the university is replacing one of the general access labs that we manage. We're taking out 65, 70 Dells and replacing them with iMacs. Actually, the iMacs should be arriving today or tomorrow, and that's what I'm starting when I get off the plane back in Texas, which is kind of nerve-wracking because I'm here and not in Texas for this rollout. So for a lab monitor, though, we can enable just the chat function. I mean, you don't want a part-time worker or a student employee being able to observe or lock or control screens. I mean, it can get kind of out of control. But it's pretty customizable and how you can use it. It's not strictly from a sysadmin point of view. You can use it with your other, I won't say lower level,
Instructional.
but yeah, instructional and student helpers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're making these settings on the machine that the instructor is going to use? Is that
Correct. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The instructor, in my case, the lab monitor in our lab, there's one lab monitor that's watching over. So, yeah, and that's really all we were going to say about that. All right, let's start doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's why you guys are here. You guys probably don't have lists, though, do you? You guys don't have anything populated yet. Okay, let's take care of that. Did you have a question? Yep.
When you have the encryption on, how much does that slow down the transfer of data, or does it?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of skip over that. I mean, I'm not going to tell anyone how to run their networks. It's really personal preference. It can slow it down.
Yeah, especially if you have a slower network, 10/100.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, some people,
Yeah.
not everyone's is not on gigabit yet. So I'll just say
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
specifically when it comes to copying items, because when you copy items, a file may have, I don't know, sensitive information in it. I want that encrypted. But if it's an installer package, again, depending on what that is, I really don't care. So that's why this is more or less my setup, to encrypt copied items and not encrypt install packages. Kind of the same thing here. Depending on where you are, if you're behind a firewall, if your institution is behind a firewall, some institutions are not, like ours. We want everything secure. Otherwise, if you're behind a firewall, you may just want to encrypt the keyboard and keyboard strokes. So it's a more of a preference thing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get you guys set up with these lists. Like we said, we have side A here. We're going to show you guys how to back up your actual lists. I'm a huge fan of backups and having multiple backups in multiple places. I've been burned too many times for that to happen. So essentially, you can back up a list. You can export it. So you just select the list, export, tell it where to put it. Let's put it on the desktop.
Yeah,
and we saved it earlier for us to send out to you guys. And all it is, it's just a plist. It's an XML file with all the client information. It does not save the username and password in that file. Just want to let you guys know that. So don't worry too much about that. All right, and we'll just demo the copy feature real fast. We're going to send side A the side B list.
Yep. So again, this is side A over here. Yes, sir.
If you export a list then and you re-import it, you've got to have it authorized again.
Yes.
Yeah.
The password.
That's tagging it.
Right.
Correct.
Right. And we'll actually show you that when you guys start importing them. There's, for us, you probably want that standard Apple Remote Desktop user, whatever you name it. You probably want to use the same password on
Oh, yeah.
a deployment. So like one lab probably, you don't want different
get to that.
passwords on each machine.
Yeah.
And we'll show you why in just a minute.
So side A, you're going to get the side B list.
And you get a couple options. We're gonna put it on your desktop. You can specify where to put it, specify to encrypt it, or the network usage one is pretty nice because like we said, if you're on a slower network, it's a lab or instructor station setup, and you're trying to blast out.
InDesign or Photoshop, something.
Yeah, some crazy Photoshop file
File.
that's a gig or two. I mean, it
Excel.
it can crush the network pretty quickly.
So we're going to go ahead and push this out now. And so side A, you should have the B list on your desktop, so I'm going to quickly do that.
And we'll delete
Side B.
these to show you guys. Oh, well, we'll send side
Side
B, side A's.
So everyone should have a list on your desktop.
Does everyone have lists on their desktops?
Awesome.
Okay, good, good.
Yes,
And what's the location you're putting it?
on the desktop. You should see, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you can specify where you want to put it. And it just shows up. It's like magic. It's crazy.
And then to get it into ARD,
Yep, we're going there.
getting there.
Yep.
So to
Just to show you guys what it's going to look like, we're going to take out our,
yeah. For everyone following along, we're just going to actually remove our list here. And when you import,
so you go to File, Import.
import list.
We're going to hit the one on our desktop.
Actually,
You guys probably want the username and password now, don't you? Yeah. Okay. So right now under username and password, just type demo and demo. Demo is the username, the one that we just added in the client side, and the password is just demo as well, all lowercase. We're putting ARD in our password, but demo and demo for you guys. All
yes,
lowercase.
all lowercase.
So DEMO. Failed. Okay. Hang on a second.
Oh, really?
Go back for a minute, import it.
Import
Or
it?
delete all the computers again.
Sure.
Okay, so it's DEMO. That's
Import.
so, and you said it failed. Okay. Okay, give us 2 seconds. So when you type in demo and demo, did it fail on all of them, or is it just failing on one right now? Do you still have wait, go back. What?
Oh,
Stop at that screen.
It fails
Okay.
on the very first one.
On the very first one. Okay. So this is a good little learning
Oh,
experience.
okay. I got you. I
Yep.
got you. I got you.
So this is a good spot. Because obviously things happen in real world, right?
All right. So.
Okay, so let's say import.
And list A.
Yep, and then demo.
Right.
Okay, so if you guys are still at the screen, you may have a button that popped up that says skip verify or stop verify and continue or add anyways.
Add anyway.
So go ahead and just hit that because someone's computer may be offline
Lid's closed.
and it
they
just stopped
disconnect
everything.
the Ethernet cable.
Does it keep failing for you guys? Okay, well then,
No, sorry, not on everyone.
not on everyone, just some of them.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell you,
Add it anyway.
Yeah, just add it anyways.
exactly. Point them out.
number 2,
Lock the
Number
screen.
2, so we can
4,
see, and this is what's.
number 14, and number 15.
I knew something. I knew
Yes.
something. I knew something
Yeah,
like this
see?
was gonna happen.
Yeah. We figured something like this would happen.
Okay, but you guys have a semi-populated list right now, right? After doing that, so you guys have at least a few that you can click on. Okay. All right, let's import our list back in.
Yeah, let's get our stuff back in.
But in theory, it should just go like we have it happening. Yeah. Okay. So let's have side A right now, or we'll let Marques finish importing side
Say B.
B. Did anyone on this side have issues connecting to anyone over there? Yeah, a few? Did you guys just say add anyways or continue? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so you guys have a somewhat populated list? Okay, just on some of them or all of them?
Four.
Okay.
On your in AirDadmin, go ahead and press Command Y, refresh. To
Yeah,
update
Command
your
Y
list
will refresh
because I'm
your
only
window.
seeing one. Actually, yeah, we're back online as y'all can see.
Oh, there's two. 2 or 3. And this may be a situation where, because we have so many people adminning each other, it may just be refreshing and cycling through everyone's computers, like it is for us a little bit. Okay, so how about this? Let's have side A go ahead and select someone that's visible or that you can, that has a solid blue, not the gray blue, but the solid blue. Just pick anyone randomly from side B and just say observe or control. And actually, can you highlight one and do a get info? Yeah. And so here's one of the newer things online. Are any of you guys using ARD on Snow Leopard or Leopard machines? Just a couple of you? Okay, yeah. So one thing that is nice about Lion that I will talk about, they added the virtual screen sharing feature, which if you need to go into a user's computer, it allows concurrent screens or users to be logged in, which is a nice little feature. If you do a get info, either on a batch of computers or one or the other, you can actually change those settings on how it functions within ARD. By default, I have mine set to ask what to do. So every time I actually go to observe or take control of a computer, it's going to prompt me, do I want to view who's logged in, or do I want to log into my own environment? And that's a pretty nice little feature. The other option, and I have no idea why this is there. I played around with it and realized that it was a big mistake selecting this. On the second one, connect to a virtual display or share the screen in a multi-observe environment. So go ahead and do a multi-observe right now. So we're going to leave it as shared display. Okay. The connect to a virtual display, if you...
Multi-observe?
Yep. Okay, so so we can see things, and this is more appropriate for instructors or lab monitors, things like that. Yay!
So,
and if it can't connect, it looks like that. Is everyone trying to do multi-view? Maybe?
I bet there's some shenanigans.
Okay, and if you guys don't have that checked, that's why it's failing for us right now. But,
There it goes.
There it goes. It's just refreshing. I think it's just freaking out because everyone's hitting everyone. So if you have the other option checked where it says connect to the virtual display in multi-view, all these will be blank. It's going to be a brand new, fresh environment, and all you're going to see is a desktop and a dock, and that's it. I have no idea what that would be used for. Is anyone using it that way? I didn't think so. I was going to be really interested if they were. Yay! That's awesome. Okay. All right, so we had side A, do side B. Let's have, yep.
I was going to say, that option for connecting to a virtual display, if you're trying to do some work on the machine, while it's another user actually log in.
Right.
I mean,
That's yeah. So exactly, that's the point I was getting at was, in Lion, if you do have someone who's like a tech or someone who's not really involved with like the terminal command side of it, and they need to log into a computer but a user's there, you can actually do the virtual screen sharing, and they can get to their own GUI and do their own tasks without the user even knowing they were there.
Does that work with the screen sharing now too?
I don't know.
I heard it does.
Don't know.
Try it, but I heard it does.
Yeah, I have ARD, so I don't use the screen sharing app.
In our scientific environment, we frequently have multiple people using the same workstation.
Okay.
A lot of people want to do it with the desktop and that kind of thing.
Sure.
11 apps, different stories with documentation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good use for it, for sure. Did I see?
That ability, you need to have Lion on the client.
Right, and that's I was gonna that's why I asked who has Lion or who's using it with the older systems. If you're trying to observe or set the setting, even if your ARD admin is on a Lion machine, if you're trying to go to a 10.6, 10.5 client, these options, it won't even give you the option to edit it because it doesn't have that feature in the actual OS. So I guess it's another, even though some of us don't like Lion too much right now, it's kind of one of those benefits we'll say features, new features at Works. Okay, so let's go on and talk about, I don't know, the Unix stuff.
Yeah, let's go
So
ahead.
you guys,
Just some Unix.
do a lot of you guys use the Unix commands in ARD?
Okay.
Okay, a couple questions. We'll just hit these as we go. I'll start. Did you have a question or just answer my
They're
question?
using Unix
Okay,
commands,
sorry. Okay, yeah. So let's start talking about the Unix commands. I'm going to turn that one over to Marques. Don't let them yell at you.
So,
And we'll come back to reporting and tasks, the Unix task side of it.
hit the clicker. Yep. All right. So,
Or I guess we'll just stay here for a minute. We'll stay here for a minute. So we have our Unix stuff, right?
yeah, let's go ahead and tap on Unix there.
Okay.
So, as you're using ARD, I mean, it has some great features built into it, but a lot of times you're going to want to use some of the Unix commands to gather more information or do other things that it natively doesn't do. For example, gain a list of all the applications installed on a lab or certain systems. So, as your list of Unix commands get longer, you'll have something that looks like this. And that's crazy. It makes it hard to really work with ARD. And so, you know, there's an option there. Go back to it real quick, Ryan. There's an option there to edit. Okay, yeah, we
all
want to
the way at the
edit.
bottom,
We
so
want
if
to,
you
you
have a
know,
long
kind
list.
of organize this chaos here. But can you move them up and down? Can you?
Nope.
Nope. So, well, I mean,
You can rename them.
rename them, you can remove them, you can set it as the default when you engage or activate the Unix command option, but otherwise it's really kind of useless.
Yeah, and
So-
you can't even edit the command either. I mean, just
Yeah.
the name of the command that you had, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, and if you edit the command and save it again, it's going to prompt you to enter in a new name. So,
And it's gonna go to the bottom of your
yeah,
list.
it's a mess. So, but obviously Apple's doing it. Apple's doing it. So, you look at your list, you'll see that you have the default entries here that Apple provides. So we know it can be done.
We know you can organize them in folders, right?
So, we want to,
Yep.
we want to take you from the chaos there. Forward.
Yep. There you go.
We want to get you from this chaos here to something a little more manageable. Sorry about
You like
that.
going back.
Well, I like to blame it on the clicker
Blame it on
here.
the clicker.
Yeah, blame it on the clicker. Something a little more manageable here. Now, this is probably why you came to this session right here. This is good stuff. Is anyone actually organizing their Unix templates? Okay, all right, this is going to be fun.
Did anyone know it was even possible? Okay.
I'd like to
Oh.
know how to save them and export them so that I input it again.
Yeah. Hey, that's easy to do actually.
So, when you start adding in your Unix files, your Unix templates, it's actually getting written into the Unix command task plist file, which is at the user level library application support remote desktop preference or presets folder. And it's just a standard XML file. And what we're going to do is, explain the structure of that file and how to actually organize your Unix templates by making modifications within that.
Yeah, and there is an older article on ASP 548 that talks about organizing the templates, but it was really dated. I recently responded to that post and put in the current template, the one that you guys are going to see here. So if you guys want to go to that link, and we'll make this link available somewhere else too, so you guys can don't have to write it down right now. So if you guys go to that link, you can actually get the template that we're going to start using and showing you here in a minute.
And the template looks like that. And so,
And you can open the plist file in a number of apps.
oh yeah. So when modifying the plist, you can use property list editor if you're familiar with that in OS, prior to 10.7. Property list editor, a great tool to use. You can modify it in text edit, which is what we recommend. In 10.7, property list editor is not available anymore, but you can go online, download property list editor and its respective framework, drop it into 10.7, and then you'll be able to use property list editor within 10.7. But for 10.7, Apple wants you to move to Xcode, so you would be trying to modify this in Xcode. Now, it looks completely different, and so we don't recommend that you try to modify this plist file in Xcode or property list editor, because you have to remember, all of your Unix commands are already populated. They're already in the list. All you need is a way of copying and pasting them and moving them around to put them into folders, what we're going to call as a folder. So here's the construction of every plist. There's a beginning and an end. Nothing special there. And here, in the example that we're using, we have two folders. This top folder has two commands in it, and this bottom folder has a single command in it. We'll make it a little larger. I don't know if y'all can see that. But we're gonna, there's another slide later that's clearer. So here again, we're illustrating two folders there, or excuse me, two commands inside of a folder and then one command inside of there. Inside of this folder, so when you send a Unix command, you have the option of using the logged in user to send the command or to specify a user. In most situations, you're going to do that. You're going to type in root to do that. So here in this example, I don't know if y'all can see, but I'll point things out. Here's the actual command. It's a reboot command. Here's the actual, or the name of the command. Here is the actual Unix shutdown space -R now, the actual command that it's going to execute. And then here, it's indicating root. And whenever you specify a user and you type in whatever user that is, the integer number is going to turn to 1. Otherwise, it's going to be a 0 if you keep the login user option. And so just again, an overview of that structure, what that looks like again. And so again, this is the corresponding GUI interface that you will get from modifying the template, modifying the XML file.
And so just to talk quickly about, you said backing up those files. Do you mind if I show them real fast?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So if you navigate, and Lion, they hid the user folder, the user library folder in Lion. So you got to do a go connect to folder or Shift Command G if you're keyboard shortcut heavy. You got to do the tilde/library, and that gets you in that hidden folder, and it resides in application support, remote desktop, presets, and it's this file right here. We have a couple for the presentation, so that's why there's a few in there. So you would just see one. I'll also mention, so you just copy that to a flash drive or wherever you want to back it up and move it to a new computer from there.
Can you read what the name of that is?
Yeah, it's
Unix command task.plist.
Yeah. And then, what was I going to say? Yeah, so in order to back it up or move it to another computer or a new install, you just copy that file and put it where it belongs.
Right.
And you can use remote desktop to do that, which is awesome. You just say keep it in the same relative location. This plist file also will not be present unless you have saved a Unix task. So if you haven't saved anything, if you just have the default folders right here, that plist file will not be present. So you actually have to type something and save it.
Yeah. Select that option. Yeah.
Just that. Yeah.
And you'll name it, and it'll actually put it in the list at that point.
So and these are organized.
Yeah.
Plist file.
Well.
And it's a lot nicer than that.
Yeah, a
Crazy
super
list.
long list. Was there any other questions at this point? Yeah. Go ahead.
2 more questions.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know where the default tasks that come from the ARD are stored?
Absolutely, we do. Actually, you can just right-click on ARD and go right into it.
Okay, yeah.
So it is located within the ARD application itself.
It's a single binary, so there,
Yep.
it has everything in the package.
Show package contents, resources.
Was it English? You're making us think now.
Yeah,
Yeah, English.
English and where
Unix.
is
Was it
it?
Unix?
I thought it was. Yep.
Yep, there it is.
And then let's
So-
go ahead and.
I'm gonna copy this to the desktop.
Okay.
I was wondering if we were gonna scare a lot of people off with this, with editing plist. I'm glad we didn't.
Do we use text edit? Yeah.
I'm glad people's eyes didn't glaze over.
And it looks totally different. It's not like the XML file,
Yeah, it's-
plist, the plist file.
Yeah, it's the strings that it references. So,
Do a search for like miscellaneous. There it is.
did you find it?
Miscellaneous right there.
Yep. So this
And
the
those are the
corresponding commands are
Yeah.
right there.
And then the other
Yeah.
question.
I-
When you share tasks, I know it can be dangerous, especially if you include passwords, but do you plan on making your command tasks available?
Well, the template we have, it doesn't have our passwords in it because, yeah, they're visible. So sharing them, no, we wouldn't recommend doing that at all.
If there's some-
If you're going to do that, obviously remove your passwords.
I mean, are you asking us, like, do you want some of our templates? I mean, I don't mind emailing you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean,
if that's what you're asking, yeah, that's not a problem. We can do
If
that.
there's something that you see right now that pops out at you, I mean, we'll
And you know what?
we'll copy and paste that in an email and send it to you guys. We'll give you guys our email address and things like that.
Because we're actually going to talk about, not really talk about some of the commands, like for example, since you're there, go ahead and
Yeah.
select like arrow down. We're going to talk about how to create some of the GUI interaction Unix scripts there, which actually use AppleScript or what is it, Open Scripting Architecture
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that. To interface with the operating system, if you're at a login screen, how to select a certain user account, type in the password for that user, launch system preferences and tab through or type in a particular, like the sharing system preference in the search field and have it automatically go to that section and tab through certain things. So there's a couple of different things you can do. You can set them through Unix, but you can also interface with the GUI itself to make things happen. So, and we'll show you some of the tools that you'll need to make that happen.
Yeah.
But that's after the break.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, for Marques and a lot of you guys here, you know, if you're in a lab environment, this is where these key code command tasks come in really handy. You know, like we said, we can, without even going to the GUI and touching each one, you know, Marques can send a command that essentially selects the user, types it in, everything, without even moving a mouse on that computer.
Yeah.
Is what we're getting at. Yeah.
Just kind of like a real world example
Sure.
of presentation sharing, like what you're doing right now with in a classroom. You know, with the like Google Hangouts. I don't know if you've played around with that. There's some pretty cool things in there. But could you actually share that presentation with us here and be able for us to have control of either to minimize it or, you know, still have interaction with our desktop?
Let's try it. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, whenever we share,
Let's do it.
I mean, whenever we share out the presentation, it's going to take over your full screen. So,
So there is no way to make it so that it's, you guys
no.
might want to try Google Hangouts.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you would share that, I mean, what if he even did like a, you know, a command tab or something? It's not.
Nope.
gonna-
Here, you just
So,
share it out. Here, we'll show you guys.
so we got to bring up the presentation.
Yes.
That'd be handy if you were putting up something like I couldn't read all your commands. My right side's not that
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And,
But if it were right here, that'd be cool.
right. And that's why we put the URL in there, so you guys could actually copy and paste that into a text file and save that for yourselves.
So we'll go ahead. We'll select
At
all.
some point, just when you think of it, could we get that URL again?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Why don't you beam it to us Scotty?
Well, the computers are frozen, so even after we restart, I mean, we can send it to your desktops right now, but. So this is kind of what we did at the beginning.
So here, we're basically presenting, and y'all should see this on your screens.
The full screen, so my experience with full screen sending out over ARD, it doesn't like to refresh or update on the client side. So even though we're hitting next, you may not
A
see
delay.
it move.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're not in the full screen mode, I mean, they see everything that you see. And you guys should be seeing this pretty quickly. It should refresh pretty fast. Is that, yeah? You guys can see our notes and everything on the slides. It's good. Any other questions before we take a break?
Yes, that's really small, but.
No problem.
practical
Yeah.
thing. When I'm controlling a remote client, and I've done whatever I need to do, and I'm getting off, and I move the cursor, it's kind of like they're not expecting that. Is there, just that last move to click off, is there any way I can not do that?
No.
If you're sharing keyboard mouse, yeah, it's going to do that.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
Just a quick comment.
Uh-huh.
I do a lot of remote management via a lot of walking users through stuff.
Yeah.
And I found that the whole take complete control of the machine just doesn't work. It's still a shared environment. And they
Really?
go back to the mouse and do stuff. Yeah, it's been that way for multiple websites.
So it's funny you mention that because I think Ryan and I saw something to that extent the other day. So what you want to do, so if I
Oh, yeah.
control a machine, how am I going to illustrate this?
There's no way to display it. I wish we had two displays.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. But.
What's the name of your computer? What number is it? Your A. We'll show you this because we found this to be a problem, but it does work. We'll show you what you have to do though. I'm sorry?
A9.
A11?
A9,
Okay.
A11, yeah.
Okay, so we'll work with A11. So you see, because we're running line, we're going to share the display. Now, here, we're in controlled mode. Now, you can probably move your cursor, correct? Yes? So, but you shouldn't be able to.
Right.
So, what happens is you have to toggle this. Now, if you go to it now, you'll see it says assisted mode. Well, observe. So yeah, I'm observing. If I take control again now, you should not be able to move your mouse. You can? Oh, well, that was me moving the mouse actually, but now he's moving the mouse. Let me see.
You gotta lock it. The other way around is locking the screen.
Switch. Oh, wait a minute. Now we're sharing. Okay. Are you able to use your mouse?
Do you have the preference set and control and observe?
I
I thought that.
do. We have it. See, control, observe. We have take complete control. Yeah, we have that set. Are you able to move your mouse? I'm not.
Try toggling it on off and then.
Yeah, when we did this the other night, because we noticed
Off and
this,
on, yeah.
we noticed that a user could still take control over it. What does it say for, well, let's see now.
It's not a huge issue in most
It's
cases,
just-
but
Right.
sometimes, without thinking,
Oh, yeah,
we're a
sure.
little fighting for the mouse, and it's like, oh crap, that's right, let go. But it's just one of those features in ours that has never worked for us through multiple revs.
So what about now? No? I don't see. Yes,
Okay.
that's it. So this is what we did. So right now, I'm in control mode. Well, it says assisted, but if I toggle it, can y'all see me doing this? Okay. Right, and that's weird from a user standpoint because the user is going to think the computer is frozen or something like that. They can move the mouse, but they can't actually interact with the operating system. So we would definitely recommend, if you're wanting to take complete control, you'll want to lock the screen so they can't see anything.
Can you go through the set of settings you did to actually lock him out of controlling his own computer?
So, sure, we'll go back to it. I want to take control.
Does that setting, the take complete control setting in the preferences, does that have to be set in order for this whole thing to work?
Should.
Yes, if you want to take complete control, yeah. Otherwise, you'll have share the mouse and keyboard.
You wouldn't see that little dialogue that just popped up. If that was not turned on.
No, because what's causing that to appear is the line setting here. Ask me what to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a line machine. If it's a Snow Leopard or before or an older OS, it'll just take complete control. So
if there's any Apple SEs in the audience, we'll send that
let's
one
get
out.
that fixed.
Yeah, let's escalate that one.
So again, we're going to share the display with the user.
Works so how does locking the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
You mean the curtain?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Really, the difference.
Yeah.
The only difference between curtain and locking is curtain mode is just you're taking control over a locked screen, but pretty much they're the same, really. Right. So I don't know because I can't remember who asked the question, and then I got another.
It was the gentleman up there in the Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, okay.
Hawaiian-ish, I don't know, blue.
So, I'm sorry. Did I show you what settings, what I did to take complete control over his machine?
Preferences plus.
Right. Right here in the preferences. If it's a line machine, take complete control. If it's a line machine and you have in the Get Info window, if you have this set to ask what to do, then whenever you go to take control over it, when you double click, it'll ask you to share the display. And so, you can toggle. And if you actually want to share the mouse and keyboard with the user, you can enable that option, or you can disable it to take complete control. And it'll indicate that it's in control mode. If I switch it to share the keyboard and mouse, then it says assisted mode. So. So I will hop off. Any other questions? Yeah, sure.
Are there any issues with mixing Snow Leopard and Lion machines?
No, not that I'm aware of. I have my labs. I have, I think, 2 labs on Lion, and the rest of mine are still on Snow Leopard. So no problem whatsoever. You'll be able to manage both OSs. Even with, if you had the older version, let's say you don't have ARD 351, maybe you have a slightly, earlier version. It'll still work.
Have you had any issues running 10.6 on a newer machine?
Say that again. Running 10.
Downgrading?
Yeah.
I don't downgrade my machines.
You can't downgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have all kinds of issues. Yeah. Forget it. Might as well shoot yourself. It's horrible.
I was afraid.
Sorry, I wish we had better news.
What about if a device it just says ARD not active?
Okay.
That's a good one because every once in a while I'll get an error that says like in my actual ARD it'll say unavailable, or the version, what is it, the ARD version will say unavailable or not, or not know what it is. In those cases, the kickstart command can actually resolve a lot of those issues.
Right. Yeah, sometimes just the process is not functioning properly, and you may have to, run it again and enable the privileges to reactivate that and get it set properly.
Having said that,
Actually,
I will often see machines that say ARD agent not running.
Right.
I click on it, it's running, and I log in.
Yeah,
right. That's the other thing. Sometimes, so this Sometimes this can be, an issue with ARD. Because ARD is constantly querying for systems as opposed to some other solutions, and I'll just mention Casper, which systems are registered in Casper, so the clients check into the Casper system. ARD is constantly querying, looking for clients, and so sometimes that doesn't work so well, or it's unable to communicate, and to actually resolve an issue where it's saying not found or giving some incorrect information about a system, you may have to go into all computers, remove your computer, and then re-add it. And that will a lot of times resolve some issues that you have with ARD.
Just putting ARD and bringing it back up will allow like copies to sometimes work. And
Yeah.
just
Yeah. It's pretty reliable, but it has its quirks. Yeah, definitely. And I would not recommend leaving it running all the time. That's the other thing where you can start to run into issues where it just has, it's cached some information. It's just kind of hung up. It's tired. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. You just have to quit out of it and relaunch it. And actually, on your network, especially if you have a slow network, if you leave ARD running and you have a particular computer list selected, again, it's constantly querying on your network, so it can get kind of chatty. So again, if you're going to leave ARD running, maybe you just want to have something like this selected with only a couple of machines. I wouldn't leave it running at all. I would actually quit out of it. And certainly don't select all computers. Any other questions?
Now, if you're using a task server,
Uh-huh.
how does that affect leaving your ARD running? Is the task server, does it actually have your list, or is it just working with the list you sent?
You want to?
Yeah, I'll talk.
Well,
I'll talk into the mic so that I don't get yelled at later. So with the task server, you actually don't have to be logged into the task server or anything like that. So the info that it pulls is actually what your primary admin system passes on to the task server.
Right.
So even if your server doesn't have a list, my task server doesn't have any computers populated in the list. It's strictly, one of them is strictly a task server. And it just grabs the info from what you sent over to it. Does that answer that question?
What state is that server in?
It's just, it's on, sitting at the login window,
Yeah.
just running services. Yeah. And really all that server is doing is task and reporting.
Right.
And, it's also my software update server. So those are the services I have. It's a Mac Mini, so I don't want to overload it too much. Yeah.
When the task server's actually sending a package, copying, doing whatever, is that unicast then? Is it always unicast? It's never going to be anything but unicast?
Yeah, as far as we
Yeah, it's
know.
not.
If
Yeah.
something dumps in the middle of it, it has no intelligence in the server itself. We have no idea where we're using limbo then?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it'll fail. It'll give you a report. It'll say, hey, this failed.
But the cool thing about the task server is that if computers aren't on the network, say laptops or whatever, when they do come back on the network, or if something fails, I'm not sure if it kicks off the process again if something fails. I don't think it does either. Yeah. Apple?
Yeah. So SEs, if you all are watching this or in
Do you
here.
have a solution for that? I mean, there's a find
Well, there's.
You can find your task server, and how do you use it if you can't stand there and look at it?
Well, what about the schedule? Can you set the schedule to repeat?
Right, yeah.
But it will continually install even the ones that were successful, right?
Right. So that's the issue with that.
The failed ones as well.
Right.
And you can keep the schedule running until you get a full list of successes and then stop the task.
Yeah, that's
Kind of
one
a
way.
waste of bandwidth, but hopefully it wouldn't take that long.
Yeah, really the only way to know is with the task server, if something fails, is to see the report that comes up and go back to it and run it just for that individual machine.
Yeah, and you can do that by enabling the notification script. This is a script. It has a location by default there. All you have to do is put in your email address. I say that's all you have to do. For whatever reason, mail through terminal right now in 10.7.3 is not, the most reliable. We had probably
Yeah.
50-50 success right now
Yeah.
in getting stuff to come out to us.
Yeah, we tested, the script seems to work. The problem is mail specifically is just not pushing it out, the notification out.
Yeah. So it hangs out in your outbox essentially, and mail via terminal. I don't know if does anyone use this at all? No? Okay. Never mind. I won't ask you what you're doing then to resolve the issue. Yeah, and it's about time for a break. I mean, if you guys want to, I mean, we'll keep answering questions right now.
We love talking about ARD.
Okay, so we're going to get started again. For those of you guys who trickled in from other sessions, I know this probably isn't very loud, but they're using it to record, and I don't have a cool lapel mic.
You couldn't get another one?
No, but they gave me this one, so it's awesome.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I'll hold it like this. So my name's Ryan Shanley, and this is Marques Young. We're with the University of North Texas. Who just walked in? Okay, so like I said, my name is Ryan Shanley. Just quick background, I'm a Ronald E. McNair Scholar at the University of North Texas. I also hold a full-time position at the university under the College of Public Affairs and Community Service. I manage mainly faculty and staff machines for the end users. And I'll let Marques just talk a little bit about what he does.
So, Marques Young, Apple employee of 9 years formerly, currently with the University of North Texas. I am assistant administrator managing 150 Macs in various configurations, desktop, portable, and mobile devices. And yeah, that's good.
So we'll just recap real fast what you guys might have missed.
All right. So at the end of the first session, we were talking about the Unix command task plist. That plist actually contains all of the files or Unix templates that you will probably create as you're using ARD. Now, Apple comes with these default sets, network setup, system setup, and miscellaneous. What we want to do is get you from this chaos here to something more manageable and easier for you to work with. And you do that, see what I have, by using TextEdit, preferably. You could probably use Text Wrangler. Don't use Xcode. Don't use Property List Editor to modify this because it's just not simple at all. And remember, your commands are already there. So literally all you want to do is find a way or use a tool that will allow you to copy and paste and move them around. So what you're going to modify is the Unix command task plist file, which is located in the user library, application support, remote management presets folder. And we've provided a template at this URL. It's tinyurl.com. And can everyone see this?
We'll make it bigger,
You'll make it bigger
at
later.
the end of the session. And a question did come up about those plist files, the actual commands. All those commands are stored in that plist file. So the best way to back it up is just grab that file from that location and put it on a thumb drive, back it up somewhere, and that's or if you want to move it to another machine.
This is what the XML file looks like. And I'm just going to click through these slides rather quickly, beginning and end of every plist file. The folder structure with 2 commands, a single folder structure here with the 1 command in it. The actual command name and the terminal command itself. So here, I don't know again if y'all can see this, but so this is a folder. The name of the command is reboot. This is the actual terminal command, shutdown space -r space now. And by default, in most situations, when you run a Unix command, it will happen. The user will be the default login user. You can specify the user in most situations. You'll want that to be root. And when you do that, I don't know if y'all can see this here, in the XML file, the integer number changes to number 1 if you specify a user, otherwise it will remain 0. And again, this is just an overview of what the file actually looks like. And so in this example, this Unix XML, or this XML file here, correlates to this in the GUI. Any questions? Okay.
Okay, so I guess one of the big things for us is you have two things to hold. So we'll try to manage with this. So how many of you guys are in or manage Windows machines as well? Okay, so Windows does have their was a remote desktop connection to go back to Windows machines. But one of the kind of downfalls of that is you have to log the user out, right? And you can't actually screen share with them. Marques manages a few PCs. I manage, I hate to say it, but my environment is primarily Windows-based. So I've got, I don't know, 25%, 20% Macs, the rest are Windows boxes, and then the labs that we manage, the Mac lab that we're rolling out. So, why do we want to add PCs in the mix? Well, we kind of have to, and why not use ARD to do that? The truth is, a lot of us do support multiple platforms, so rather than flipping between, a different box or remoting into another server to do something, you can actually do it right from ARD. So there's a couple benefits that I see over ARD, or over the Windows, Microsoft Remote Desktop Protocol stuff, and then there's a few limitations also. So pros, you can see what the user sees. So for me, being in a faculty and staff environment, I can see what the user is talking about that they're having a problem with. I can also see if they're logged in at that time, because a lot of times with remote desktop connection, if someone calls or talks to you on communicator, you have to kick them out or change users to get in it, and you don't always see what they were having a problem with. Another benefit, you stay in ARD, you don't have to switch between apps, like I said. Cons, you can't copy files between computers, and I put a little star there that says yet. There are some VNC clients, and the way you achieve this is with VNC, a VNC server app or client that's running on the client
the Windows
machine. So there's talk amongst the VNC community that there may be some functionality later on with ARD and other tools to actually copy files between them, which would be super nice. So if any of you guys are doing any development like that, please keep at it. Okay, so what do we need? Well, we need our Windows PCs, right? We need our Windows machines. In addition to that, you can do Unix, Linux, any other type of box that you can put VNC on. So you need a VNC server app. Are any of you guys doing this right now, by any chance? A few? Okay. So don't get too confused by the term VNC server. You'll see it a lot. It's just referring to the actual app that's running on the client. So you have a server and a viewer, so the server is just serving up the image. Marques and I use Tight VNC back at UNT. It has some nice, it's free, it has some nice customizable features. You can limit which IP addresses can go back to those Windows machines and have access to VNC to them, which is a pro on our end. What else? There's another pro.
Particularly with Type VNC on their website, they were one of the ones indicating that they would more than likely be coming out with an update that would allow you to.
With ARD.
Right.
Yeah. So let's see what it looks like, right?
TIGHT?
Yes, TIGHT. Okay, so let's see what this looks like, right? So I have. Oh, I had that. You guys see that? No? Good. Okay, so I have one machine back at North Texas that, and the way you add once you get the VNC client on the Windows machine or other box, you go in and you add it by the IP address or whatever you want. You leave the username blank, but you put the password in, the VNC password that you've set. Unless the VNC client that you're using, I know some of the paid VNC clients, like the paid real version, will support username and password. But for the free ones, which we're in education, there's not always a lot of money there. We'll take what we can get. We use the free ones. Oh, the port. That's what I was going to talk about. So you can change in Type VNC. You can actually change the port that your VNC sharing is going in and out of, which is fairly nice. You can, if you have people potentially scanning your network, I don't know, you can change the default port. And it will probably, you don't want to do verify. It'll probably fail on the Windows side. So just add it. And what it will look like is, this is mine back at UNT. You can name it whatever you want. By default, it pulls the DNS record for the name, but you can actually go back in and change that later on.
And it'll always show up as offline on the PC. So really the only way to know is to
double click
on it.
I have seen it show up as available here and there.
I've never seen it.
But
I've seen some that say VNC available.
VNC available, yeah.
Exactly.
Not
Actually, I've seen that.
VNC available, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what.
And it's probably not that reliable because
Right.
you never know really what it
Right. Well, I mean, as long as the machine's on our network, I haven't had a problem connecting to any of them.
Right.
So, so if we double click, here's my machine back at North Texas. So
It's not a screenshot.
yeah, it's not a screenshot. I can move the mouse and I can start typing if I needed to. Test. So this is live. There's a little lag going back to Texas from Pennsylvania. I'll apologize for that. So the cool thing about this, like I was saying, and this is one of those pros, you get the observe and control option just like you do in an Apple Remote Desktop. So right now I'm observing, you can see the mouse right here. It's stationary, so it's not moving. And I can actually take control over it and then move it and then highlight and delete stuff. Yep. Which is cool. And, well, let's log in. Why not? I don't have any sensitive information. Oh, wrong password. My boss does not like this, probably. I hope she doesn't. She locked me out. Okay, whatever. Well, I don't know that for sure. It may be a slow connection. The keystrokes may be getting lost on that end of things.
If I'm talking to a slow machine over a slow link, type slowly.
Type slowly. Okay.
Right. Type slowly because otherwise you'll drop characters.
Thank you. We'll try that right now. Hopefully not too slowly.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So you said.
There it goes. And the refresh rate is going to be really slow. And the other downfall of using VNC is the slider up here for the network bandwidth. You can't, or the quality of the screen, you can't adjust. It's kind of stuck where it's at. With remote desktop and the Macs, if you're on like a
really slow,
slow network or a mobile cart, mobile carts are great for adjusting the quality. You can go to black and white, so it's not using a lot of bandwidth. I'm sorry, question? Yeah.
VNC, you don't have encryption, right?
It depends. You can. You can turn the
free version with encryption, right? It's like I tried to set that up. But
yeah, you can toggle it on and off. It depends on which one you're using.
I think
Type VNC does.
Yeah.
And it's a paid, I mean, some of them do, some of them don't, so it just depends. And I guess there's a warning that pops up the first time that you try to log into a computer with VNC, a Windows box. It'll say, this connection is not secure. So if it's not using encryption, it'll tell you, which is nice. So I mean, and this goes back to how y'all's networks are set up. If you're behind a firewall or not, I'm not going to tell anyone how to run their networks. Personally, if I were behind a firewall and I had a managed IP table that I knew what MAC addresses were on it, I wouldn't worry as much. But I'm also in a university. I'm not in the corporate environment at Apple anymore, so I don't really mind if people see what I'm doing because I'm a state employee and they can audit me at any time anyways. So it just depends. Yep.
What about the name that shows up?
Yeah.
If I'm not in a Windows network environment, does that mean I'm not going to see that or
Which name?
Huh?
Which name?
The name.
This one?
PC.
Yeah.
No, in the list.
Oh, in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I was talking about just a minute ago. I'm sorry. This right here is actually pulling from the DNS record, the PAX Tech Public Affairs and Community Service. That's the college we're in, so that's kind of our naming scheme. So I can change the name.
Okay, so you can manually.
Yeah, if you do a get info, please don't look at my IP. I don't know, whatever. I can't put my hand over it and hide it. But it's okay. I'll trust you guys. There's not much on that box, anyways.
So when it showed up in scanner, you would see the DNS, or what?
You actually, I don't. Yeah, if you use a scanner, you would see the IP and the DNS. It would know it's a Windows machine.
Does it say that?
Yeah, in the scanner it should. We're not on our local network, so yeah, it would show up. You know how, like, when you're in Finder, you go to your network or whatever.
Are you asking if the scanner will find the Windows machine?
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it finds them, but do you know which one it is? That's what I'm asking.
It depends on how you have it named on your network.
Yeah.
It goes by the DNS record, or I mean, we put our
Or the
names
computer name.
in our DNS record, so we
That's what I'm
know.
wondering, does it pull the computer name though?
It does. It does. ARD will actually show the name of the Windows computer.
Yeah, it does. And actually, I was going to ask.
Yeah, sure.
When you add by IP,
Uh-huh.
if the client you're connecting to doesn't have a static IP,
Right.
changes, does that screw up your list?
Yes. Yes, it will screw up your list.
A lot
Yeah.
of times you'll have to remove it from all computers and re-add it if the IP is changing.
Yeah, or use a scanner and just go that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
said,
I want to say that our scanner finds the, when I scan it, it finds the Windows machine, but I believe the host name is there, DNS name.
Yeah.
And I've seen VNC available on some.
Yeah. So, anyone else have any questions, or you guys all amazed? Ooh. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So that's using it with Windows. Like I said, one of the downfalls is you can't drag and drop files like you would with ARD and the Macs. So I mean, you may need to flip into RDC or whatever to accomplish that task. So that's my cool part there. I'll hold this again and walk around. Do you hear me? Yeah, you can talk about it. It's okay.
Go ahead.
I know you got a lot coming up. So, okay, so let's talk about deploying things that are not in Apple system or software update. One of the big things for us that we recently were challenged by was the move to Lion and the App Store, especially on new machines that we were kind of setting up without a default image, just installing Office or something on so we didn't have to reimage it. We learned our lesson there. But, so App Store apps, the iLife apps want to update through the App Store now if they are pre-installed on the computers.
Yeah.
You can remove them and reinstall from a
Disk.
a retail copy of it, and that will solve your issue. It just depends on where it was installed from initially. So we'll talk a little bit about I always get the name wrong on this one, Adobe Enterprise
Application Manager.
Manager, packager thing. and
Yep.
then that some people hate, some people don't mind. I don't totally hate it. I know some people over at Marques's office, it's the bane of their existence. And then Office. So essentially, what we're going to do is, do you want to run that one? We're gonna have you guys. We'll have side B. Side B hasn't done anything yet. Right?
No, they haven't.
Okay, so we're gonna send side B a. What do you want to send? A flash or?
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
We're sending you guys a package to install on side A. So get ready, side A.
Let's go ahead and go with Flash.
Okay. Oh.
Oh yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You can install it. This is what you guys are gonna do. After you get that.
So we're gonna copy it over to you guys. Put it on your desktop. Flash. Put it on desktop. We're good. And here it comes. Nice little progress bar. That was pretty quick.
Okay, so essentially, I'm actually not going to go into using Adobe Enterprise Package Maker. Essentially, you use that to build your custom packages. If you guys have perpetual licenses on things like Acrobat Pro or CS5 or Photoshop, things like that, you can use the Adobe Enterprise application thingy to build those packages with or without updates, or in order to check for updates or not check for updates from that application. And then it spits you out a package in the end, and you can use ARD to deploy that package. Okay, so did everyone get it on that side? Does everyone know how to shoot it over? Do you want us to go over that?
Why don't you go over it?
Okay, let's go over it. So what you're gonna do, you guys should have the package on your desktop.
Let's see.
And it was side B, so we're gonna go to side A.
Yep.
So let's just pick one random machine. Don't pick all of them, and we'll see if it freaks out.
Yeah, bring everything.
If you already have, then well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Just pick a random one. Well, do you want to show them how to? Oh, that's not on there. Never mind. Never mind.
We can come back to the Q&A. We do have a Q&A part, don't we?
Okay.
Yeah, we got fun stuff.
So let's. So you select your computer. You hit the install button right there, or you can go to manage. Right? It's in manage too.
Yes.
Or the nice thing about ARD is it's
Install.
drag and drop friendly. So if you just drag it from your desktop on top of the computer in your list, it'll know you want to install it.
So I'll just illustrate that. Drag and drop.
Well, yeah, or you
Done
just
deal.
drop in that window, so it's awesome. And you have little settings here. The people that were in the first half session already heard this. You can limit your bandwidth or encrypt your data. You can force a restart or not. I'm gonna leave that one up to you guys. Sorry, Side A. Some of these things. And you have a couple options. You can either attempt or force it. So.
And you can also have the task server.
Oh yeah, and then you have a task server option. And we'll talk about the task server more in just a minute. We didn't get here early enough to really play with the task server and get it set up. So we're not fully going to demo it, but we will talk about it in depth.
Can you talk about the scheduling part of it too a little bit? Or?
Yes, and that's going to be more towards the end. But yes, we'll talk about scheduling.
All right.
Oh, well, I guess we can talk about it just real fast. I mean, there's a schedule option, so if you guys are doing this and you want to deploy a package at like 10 tonight because all your users are on the computers right now, you can actually schedule it for tonight, over the weekend. If you're trying to get ahead of your deployments and your updates, you can schedule it for like a week out or something. It's up to you.
You have to use a task server.
No.
Or the computer has to be on, right?
Right. So
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so if you do set a schedule and you're only using that computer has to be on at the time that you set that schedule, or it will not push it out to those machines. Also, those machines also have to be on at that time, or they will not receive the packages. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, but it's not just them being on, it's also ARD has to think they're actually like awake
Active.
and inactive.
Right.
So that's been the big problem with me is scheduling things. I find I usually have to also schedule a wait command, then whatever I want to do, then another wait command.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and we're going to go over that a little bit too.
Yeah.
But that's
kind of getting
great
into workflows.
On the task machine, does that have to be at a logged-in hard running state?
No,
Or can you log in
no.
and just let it-
Yeah.
Mine
It can
sits
sit at
at the login window all day.
Yep.
All the time. Until I log into it. So we're not going to send it to a task server because we don't have it set up. It's going to fail. Just push it out.
Maybe I'm jumping the gun on
Sure.
task server, but if the task server is running on a dedicated server, why does it say the task server on this computer?
So you can work from the task server. So if you are, essentially, this computer, it's hard to say. How do I describe this?
So, I'm not sure, do we even have the task server set up on this one? We removed it.
Yeah, so by default, go back to that setting. So if you go to preferences in ARD, under task server, by default, one of these two options is checked. So by default, it knows that if you're scheduling something in advance, the task is going to run on this machine. And you can choose whether or not to allow remote connections or not. So if you want to schedule it and use it as a task as opposed to running it right then and there, that's when it happens. So say you have laptops in the mix that don't hit your network all the time, or computers that are off, I would recommend running it from the task server on this computer, and it'll just hang out in the task area and wait for those computers to come on in the app itself, as opposed to trying to blast them all out at once right now and then failing.
Yeah, I'm still confused by the on this computer.
I think Penn describes the task server as a computer running ARD that's always on.
Right.
So, like in our situation, the Xserve is on all the time. ARD is running just like this, or at least you can communicate to it all the time. So on my machine, if I want to set up a task, on a schedule to run tonight, I choose run this task from that server because it's always on. If I wanted to do it from my machine, I would choose to do it from the task server on this machine, and I would have to leave my
computer.
Is that correct? This one has to be on.
Right.
Because this one now has the schedule to run it.
Right.
That's why I always send my schedules to the task.
A remote task server.
So a task server has to have a copy of ARD admin?
Yes. And
full copy,
We're
yeah.
going to get to that in a minute. So if you do have a task server, you have to have 2 licenses, one for the actual ARD on your
admin machine,
and then one for the task server task machine.
Can you ask how many people are actually running a task server? And how many of them find that scheduling tasks on the task server is reliable?
Depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, it depends on what it is, I guess. Smaller jobs will run fine for me normally. Also, the task server, it's not just pushing out apps for deployment. It does some reporting that I've found to be very reliable. And
One thing you mentioned, I think, has been a problem of ours. I didn't know that at the time you schedule the task, that machine not only has to be on, but it has to be responding, right? It can't be asleep when you schedule that task.
Right.
It might be in your list, but if it can't authenticate to that machine at the time you schedule the task, it's going to fail.
But the whole point of the task server, right? But the whole point of the task server also is that there is a constant communication with the client. So once the client does wake up out of sleep or does appear on the network again, it should go ahead and process that task.
And that's actually, I think, I got to pull up the screen. I didn't know, is there an option to make the schedule, we talked about this, do you have to set it to repeat if it fails? Or does it just wait and it's just going to, once it comes online, it's going to do it?
I don't believe it attempts to run the task again if it fails.
It does not?
I do not believe it does.
So you'd have to figure out
Does
which
anyone-
machine it failed on and send it
It's a
out.
multicast function, isn't it?
Yeah, this is all unicast.
So what we said earlier about basically you have to go through the list, find the ones that failed, and run that task again.
Right.
As one-off situations.
Yeah.
Or just create a shorter list and push it out to just those.
Yeah. And again, if your systems are set to go to sleep or to, you're a green campus, they're set to go to sleep, shut down or whatever, you're going to have more issues with the task server, quite honestly. If you have systems that are always on and don't go to sleep, you shouldn't have any issues scheduling tasks with the task server.
Or if you set up schedules, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, dedicate times that you know the
Right.
computer's going to be turned on or be woken up. You just have to build that into your workflow and be aware of that. Were you going to say something?
I've seen instances, this is at least one off here, but of a task, let's say, reaching a discrete number of machines and it'll choke after that. Is that something in my network, or is that something other people are seeing? I can send something to 12 machines and it'll bite it and it'll run at 10.
I haven't had any issues like that where so you're saying after it hits a certain number, the remaining half or the remaining number after will fail? Yeah.
And if I put fewer machines on the task.
Personally, I haven't had that issue.
Yeah, neither have I.
I feel special now.
So, sorry, I wish I could say I have, but yeah.
Do you have the task set to fail on all of the targets, or do you have it set to continue?
Yeah, that's another good question. The option, where is it? Stop on all.
On all
Do you know
targets.
if you have that option set when you're pushing stuff out to the task server?
I'm talking about independent of the task server right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, even independent of the task server, do you know if you check that or not?
Say it again.
Independent of if it's, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's running on the task server or not. Do you know if you check that option, the fail?
Right.
The option says.
Use the laser.
Problem occurs, skip on all targets.
It's such a low level of annoyance, and I know from some experience somewhere, if I set it to less, it would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good answer for you, I'm sorry. I wish I did.
One of the things I do like about the task server, even though it is a little flaky sometimes, is that they do have a team of admins, like 5 or 10 people. A bunch of you can be working on jobs, scheduling these jobs with your own local copies of ARD. It all goes to the same task server.
Right.
You can quit out, go home.
Yeah. And it's a good way to multitask also. I mean, you can send an installer task to the task server and have it sit there and process things while you on your admin machine run some other tasks using ARD.
Yep.
If two people, in his example, schedule a task on a server, and they both are same time, do they just queue it and wait for one to finish before it starts the other?
In my experience, the task server, anything that appears on the task server, and we'll just go here, it's linear. I mean, it's going to go through one process first, complete it, and then go through the next. Has anyone experienced anything differently where it's impaired?
If it jokes on a task, nothing's going to happen until it's on.
What was the question? If two tasks get scheduled at the same time?
Same time, right.
I'm pretty sure they show up in the list and they just both run.
At the same time, right?
Yeah.
Concurrently.
You'll
Yeah.
see in the list, it'll say, installing, some of them will pass, some of them will fail, whatever, but it's attempting to run everything that.
And you'll see them listed here underneath the task server option. Similar to the history here, if I go here, you can see the status of what's happening. You'll see them listed there. You can click on them and then check out what's happening.
Yeah, our maintenance cycles are at different times. So I haven't personally set any at the same time for the task server. I think I've seen it before, like you were saying. I'm pretty sure it runs concurrently, but it's not something that I do regularly or on purpose regularly. I probably avoid that.
And I think the chances of, like he was saying, if you have multiple techs doing it, the chances of you getting, at the exact same time are probably pretty slim. Unless everybody, 5 people schedule a task for 10 p.m.
Right.
But I think it's just going to attempt to run them all.
Yeah, and actually, I have a slide. Let's going to talk about So just to put the task server into perspective more, You know, you have your single installers, your single binaries, you know, whatever package that you built with Package Maker or the Adobe Enterprise app. And basically what happens is you get those two options. You can run it from the server or from the task server. If you run it from the server at once, it goes out, checks the machines, whatever machines are on it, it blasts it out to them. With the task server comes up, so you have laptops or machines that aren't always on, like a mobile cart is a good example. You know, those come online. So your task server, and like we said, these have two totally different licenses of ARD. So you do have to buy 2 copies of ARD, one for each machine. So the task server comes up, you get your packages coming out, and they, you know, one blasts to the machines that are on, and the other one waits until the other machines come online, and then it sends those out to those machines. Does that make it a little clearer? If you haven't used a task server before?
Do you get a decent report on what's happening? Can you see which systems got it and which systems didn't?
That's when the notification script comes in handy. You want to flip the cape and show that? And like we were saying, I don't know if we were saying in this one or in the end of the first session.
It was the end of the first session.
Mail, it's not, the script that's written in here, it's not a problem with the script. It's a problem with mail in terminal in the OS. That I get about 50-50 reliability of if it sends a report to me or not of what failed and what didn't fail. So there is that functionality in there, but it doesn't work that well. So
Can I go to ARD to see the report, or just?
It actually emails it to you.
But if the email fails, can I go somewhere else?
So right here.
Yeah, in the task, right, or the history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So does that answer that question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's all.
So the actual procedure, if I want to send a package from the task server, am I going to remote to the task server and then just send it from there?
No, you don't have to remote. That option that we check when we send it out. So your task server is preset in your preference.
Yeah, I think what's confusing you is if we have set up the task server here, and we designate the remote task server, put in the IP address of that machine or DNS name, and select it, it will actually show up right here. It'll actually have the name of that server. And so when you go in here, let me switch it back. When you go back to the install window, what it will say is the task. Yeah, it'll say the actual remote task server name.
Right.
Or IP address.
Right. So the app manages that for you. You don't have to go to an actual server and log in.
Does that script use Apple Mail, or does it use the Unix Mail command?
The Unix Mail.
I've noticed that the Unix Mail command is sometimes flaky if it cannot do a good reverse on your DNS thing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
If you're on wireless and you don't have a good reverse, that could be part of your issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of reasons why it
Yeah,
could happen or not happen.
When we tested it, the script was fine, but using the actual mail command to even just send out a test, test email, subject test, no body to it, send out the command. We sometimes got the message, sometimes we didn't. So it's more or less an issue with the mail command itself.
Okay.
You switching back?
And let's see, what else do we have? App Store. Something we all love, right now? Probably not. So we learned something interesting about, 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
About the App Store. Whenever you guys download, how many of you guys are in education, first off?
I think everybody, okay.
Okay, majority. Okay, good. I'm talking to the right audience. So what we do for our apps, and this app is the same on the iPhone, I'm sure the Apple guys covered this. We have an account for the department, and it's, we put our college in our department. For us, it's at unt.edu, it's probably at your respective institution. And we do the voucher, the volume purchase program, the vouchers, things like that. So everything that comes through the Mac App Store, the Apple App Store on the Macs, they dropped the Mac, isn't it? It's just OS 10 now, right?
Yeah.
I'm used to saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, on the App Store, they're single binaries. So they're self-contained. all you have to do is have a login to like your ARD admin computer with your account. As long as you have purchased licenses or purchased that many apps, you download that one app and then just do a copy feature with ARD and put it in the apps folder. And that takes care of the updating apps. The little number will go away. So like I said, with iLife and things like that are pre-installed, it takes care of that problem. Apple is moving to the App Store
For everything.
for everything. It's public knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
violate.
we're not employees anymore.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not employed. Well, I'm a registered developer, so I don't want to.
So they're getting rid of the iTunes store? Are they
What?
merging the iTunes store and the App Store?
Oh, I don't know that. Are they? So they're getting rid of the software update server. So in order to update your apps and your OS and things like that on your computer, everything is going through the App Store. The menu totally disappeared. This showed up on Mac Rumors and Apple Insider, so I don't feel bad about saying this. If you go to the Apple menu, there's no software update anymore.
In Mount Lion.
It says App Store. So
Wait, you say that again? What did you say about software update?
It's going away.
it's going away.
It's going away. Yeah,
away.
in Mountain Lion, get ready for it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have not moved to Lion yet, and you are dreading the App Store, I'm sorry. It's just something that we got to roll with the punches and work with.
Get those Apple IDs ready.
The software update, your little red bubble with your number in it.
That's what it's looking like.
So your
I
Apple
mean-
workstation with ARD needs to have the App Store logged in with your college department App Store account to be able to pull these apps down.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, how
And
would
just
that-
copy them out.
Well, I guess we're getting off subject, but how do they handle?
I have no idea.
Like
I don't know.
servers doing software updates, caching the.
I have a software update server, and so does Marques.
Yeah, we don't know.
College, and it's a big deal for us because,
Yeah, we can't say it.
yeah.
Because you remember never mind.
Yeah,
Never
so,
mind.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you guys, this is what we learned, this is how we're doing it now. Take it for what it is.
Yeah.
If you guys have a better way, we'd love to hear about it, but this is the easiest way that we've found to blast out those apps.
So not working in higher ed, maybe I don't understand. What's the significance of not doing it centrally, but dividing it up by department?
For us, it's a purchasing issue. It's a financial issue. The different departments have different software needs and different funds. I mean, you could probably get away with just a college at whatever, or however your organizational unit is defined.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that's kind of a downer, but it's not that bad. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, you could be running like an Apple Store update server or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and
I mean, you just download the single binary and copy it out. There's no installer, there's no package. It's all self-contained. So, I mean, think of the benefits.
If you don't have to download.
How are you guys monitoring which apps need to be updated? Because the App Store only shows a little push notification if you have that app installed on that computer.
Right. So essentially for us, the department has, it depends on how you want to manage that, and I don't want to get too far off topic from ARD. Essentially, the way things look like they're going, if they want an app, the department, they're going to buy it for all their computers. Unless it's like a super high dollar one, then we'll just have a mental note somewhere. That way it's easier for the management, easier for deployment, you just blast it out to all of them.
So that means on the server where you're sending the updates out from, if you had 5 departments, you would have to
5 different logins.
log into the App Store.
Absolutely.
5 different
Get all
times.
their apps and then create groups of computer to send each
Yep.
set of apps to.
Yep.
And more than likely, in a lab, just in a lab environment, your lab machines would not obviously have your department Apple ID.
Right.
I mean, so they wouldn't even see any updates. You would see the updates and you could push those out. And on your admin machine, you could type in the different department Apple IDs to see if there are any updates available. Obviously, your admin machine will have to have all of the software that all of your other labs
Well,
have.
yeah, the software has to be installed. You can't
Right.
just log in you have to log in as them, download and install all the apps they have in order to see the updates that are needed on, yeah.
Right.
Correct,
That's
correct.
So I mean, it's, I don't like it. I'm not going to pretend like I like it, but that's
It's
essentially,
definitely a different way of,
I can try to fight it as much as I want, but in the end, this is what's happening.
And what's the scheme going to be for OS updates?
I have no idea.
yeah, I mean, that's all going to happen with Mountain Lion. And
Yeah.
we use Deep Freeze. Deep Freeze has a maintenance cycle that runs Apple Software Update Server. You know, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
We're waiting it out.
It's going to be interesting.
And if anyone has any ideas what they're doing or wants to share, I mean, I'd be open to hear any.
What I hear as far as software updates?
Yeah, and that's another one, you know, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And there's some sessions, I'll plug some of the session. I mean, there's sessions on that. I have no shame. We're all friends. We're here to learn, right? So,
My coworker just told me that you could still run the command line updates.
okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, Apple
Yeah.
changes a lot. You know,
For
it's
now,
not Gold Master yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, to be totally compliant or whatever, you know, it's, I guess, different best practices.
So there are numbers beyond 3.5.1.
I'm sorry, say that again?
With ARD admin?
Beyond version 3.5.1, they could.
Oh, yeah, sure, sure.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who knows how long it's...
I'm hoping that they're taking care of this issue. I'm hoping they're working diligently.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for 4.1.
And then I'm gonna let Marques take over now because this is his area of expertise.
So how many people are using Deep Freeze? Okay. Okay, awesome.
How many people don't know what deep freeze is?
All right. So,
okay, good.
So what Deep Freeze is an application made by Phoronix, and what it does is it freezes the configured operating system so that any changes that occur as a result of its use will be reverted back to its original configuration upon restart. So it essentially, everything that gets written to it gets written to a temp file or I'm not sure, for lack of a better term, a temp file. And then when it restarts, it goes back to its original configuration. So it's how we use it is a level of security. We do have antivirus software installed, but you can literally get a virus, you know, a whole bunch of shenanigans can happen on your machine and rendering them unusable to some degree. And you just simply restart the computer and it goes back to its configured state and you're good. So love Deep Freeze.
Can I say one thing real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
So the laptops you guys are on, since we have ARD admin on them, we actually put Deep Freeze on them as well because I didn't want anyone sending, there are other sessions that are using these laptops. I didn't want anyone sending a Unix command like RM, space dash F and space desktop or something, thinking they wanted to erase a file path and kill the whole machine. So I mean, this is a perfect scenario for this type of usage. Just to illustrate.
So we'll show you what Deep Freeze looks like.
And this goes into the maintenance cycle, scheduling things. I know we talked about scheduling wait commands. Marques is going to walk through a few things on scheduling.
So this is Deep Freeze. We're not going to go deep into it because this session is about ARD. But there are two versions. When you look at them, you have the assistant, and within the assistant, you can install the Deep Freeze ARD tasks. So this will actually install Unix commands that Deep Freeze uses to thaw and freeze machines. And you just select that option. And then we don't want to create a custom installer. But what happens once you do this, it will install the Deep Freeze commands, which are here. So you can add a user, add a Deep Freeze user, delete a Deep Freeze user, thaw, freeze. And so mostly what you'll probably be doing when you're using Deep Freeze is freezing the computers and thawing them. And you can thaw them a certain number of times. No problem. A certain number of times before they go frozen again. And there are some other options here as well. So,
And this is primarily for lab environments or classroom environments. If I were to put this on my end users' machines, faculty and staff, they would kill me. So please be aware of where you're installing this.
So frozen means back to the pristine state? Or
Yes, back
Correct.
to the original state that you initially put it in.
So in order to send updates, you basically would create a task that says, wait in the computer, thaw it, send these updates, freeze it, and reboot it?
yeah. Actually, that's what I'm going to get into next is just a workflow. So
No, this is perfect.
I have one right here. And so let's say I have a deep freeze maintenance cycle set up. It's going to do its maintenance cycle between 3 and 6 in the morning, something like that. I come in at 8. And in my environment, how I have my lab set up is I run deep freeze. I have them staggered by day. That way, if there's an update that comes out that totally botches my labs, it's not going to affect all of my machines. So I'll have one lab go through a deep freeze maintenance cycle on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So I'll come in on Tuesday. I know that a lab just completed its cycle, and I want to make sure that it has it has run all of its latest updates. And so, is anyone? I actually planned on going through this scenario. So if you're doing anything, you might want to jump off. So you can actually see how this works. So I can come in one day, I can just, knock these out here. Just something like this.
And we're going to run them manually right now, but you can schedule them to run on there.
Is there a task in there with the scripts that you need to wake a computer that you could share with us? Or is that a deep freeze thing you're not going to give to us?
Well, we're not actually waking a computer. We're assuming that they're either off, and in the energy savings, you have it set to turn on at a certain time. We're
Right.
assuming that you have this set
There is
in those
a wake
particular.
command built in, it's just one of the options on the tab.
Yeah.
And not even in the templates, actually.
In ARD, I'm sorry. So it's right here.
Right next, yeah, right by.
Right there.
How would you take, if I want to add that to a scheduled task?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. So I'll go ahead and select all of these.
Because I think I'm going to be in a situation where a lot of them are sleeping.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
So wake. Now, yeah. So to save it, you actually save it, give it a name. If you're going to create a workflow, you might want to give it a number, blah, blah, blah. And then save it. It appears on the sidebar here, and then you can drag it in where you want it. Obviously, you probably want to create a group, maybe call it, I don't know, building 4. I don't know. And then you'll find, where did it go? You'll just drop it in the group, and so now it's a part of your workflow.
But wait, but how did you actually add that command? I didn't see that one.
I'm sorry, what?
It was under the Unix.
It was under Unix.
You
Yeah.
grab a list or grab a bunch of
Save.
computers, and then hit the Unix command.
And you can do that. I mean, same thing happens with copy. There's a save button at the bottom. So when you click on save at the bottom of any of these tasks, it will add it to the sidebar, and you can organize them that way.
So everything you want to include in a workflow needs to be a Unix command? Is that?
No.
So how do you add it if it's not?
So let's say, for example, if I wanted to just restart the computers, which isn't a Unix command. So I click on restart, all of the computers are there, and I have the save button here at the
Just
bottom.
click on the save button.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's probably me standing in the way. So you click on save, and then you can give it a name and have it save in the sidebar, and you'll see restart here, and you can drop it into the group that you've set up.
Oh, okay. So, and then you run the group?
You would set the times.
Right. Unfortunately, the workflow, so we call it a workflow because it kind of helps you organize your tasks, but it's not automated in any way. So you're still kicking these off individually.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me get rid of that. So I have all of these tasks done. Okay, I'm going to restart everyone's computer. So, yeah, well, as soon as I add in some computers, I will. All I've got somebody here. I'll just leave that out. And so, restarting. Such a beautiful sound. And actually, let me do this real quick.
Yeah, and everything is drag and drop, which is really nice for people who enjoy the GUI. I mean, I can find my way around terminal, but this is just easy.
They're not all restarted.
Let's see. Oh, they're still coming up. And so you can see what's showing in the console. We talked about this in the first session, but there's information you can have populated here in the category columns there.
Hey, yeah, refresh it. So,
Okay.
Actually, don't refresh yet. Go back.
Go back to here.
Okay, so see how some of these still have names in them? Those are because either ARD hasn't refreshed it or they haven't been restarted yet. But the ones up top, see how they went back to the state that we had when you guys walked in to session 1, and that's an example of the deep freeze, what it does. So no matter what changes you make to the system, to the user, it doesn't stick.
Yeah, a lot of these should be at the login. I guess people are logging in. So they should be sitting at the login window at this point if they've been restarted. Let me just go ahead and just select some of them. Login window. So y'all can see what's happening here. I'm sorry?
Sort them by the same type, like the second.
Yeah, you're right. I can't sort them that way. And let's try that again. So login window. You can observe, sitting at the login window. Now, here, with them sitting at the login window, I can still check. Let's see, available. Because I've already set this up and some of them are sitting at the login window, I'm just going to do it. So, go back, not on task. Refresh.
And if you guys ever get errors like that that says something's offline, you can usually refresh and it'll go through.
Not active.
Failed on one.
So we're going to continue anyway.
I think someone was talking earlier about the client software unavailable. That's kind of a good example of what it looks like.
And these were set up for this. They're probably completely patched, so I don't really expect any software updates to show. But what we're going to do, we'll just stop it. And if there is an update available, obviously what I want to do is go ahead and install that update. So I might go ahead, go to the Apple website, download the package, and then install it. So let's say we install iTunes. And we go through the process, there's an iTunes update, we go ahead and install it, or in actuality, what will more than likely happen, this is what I actually do in my environments. So Deep Freeze goes through its maintenance cycle. If there are updates that weren't applied, I'll just let Deep Freeze install them on the next cycle, no big deal. Unless it's some critical update, Apple has released something like that, then I'll patch it immediately at that point. And so in this scenario, I would actually be installing a security update or something like that. After the update is applied, actually, we want to thaw it first. Yeah, sorry. So we restart the computer. I'm going to take you back for a moment. So we restart the computer. We're at the login screen. While at the login screen, we'll check for software updates. It finds an update. It's a critical update, so obviously we need to install it. So we'll thaw the machine. And by thawing it, depending on how your settings are set up in Deep Freeze, you'll know that they're thawed because you'll see the little angry polar bear sign right here.
It's bad, it's angry.
And so again, while it's still sitting at the login window, it's thawed now. You could go ahead and apply the update just by running the install part of it. And you'll drop in the actual package, install the package, and then once the package is installed, a lot of times, depending on the application, you may need to restart the computer. So you go through the process, restart the computer again. We're at the login screen. Now, I put iTunes there because I particularly wanted to talk about that one. There are some other applications that do the same thing. This is what I do again. So usually when you apply an iTunes update, there is a license agreement that you have to select OK. Or if there is a Microsoft Office update, you usually has to rebuild the font cache stuff again. So that's a hassle. Now, you could not do anything, not open or launch the application and let the user deal with it. Usually there's a significant lag, or every time because these systems would normally be frozen, the user would then have to contend with the license agreement in iTunes or the font cache loading again or rebuilding again with Office. So what I'll do after the restart, I'll go ahead and log into the computer so that I can actually launch the applications that I've just updated. So here in this situation, our account is demo. So here's a bit of the scripting here. And actually, I'll talk about that in just a second. The scripting here that we're going to use keystroke D. We're at the login screen. We select D, which will select the demo user. And then by selecting return, telling it to hit return, that's going to cause it to show the password field for that user. And then we're going to delay it slightly. Really important to use appropriate delay times. These are actual seconds. You can put in 0.5. It will probably be too short, so I would recommend leaving it at 1 second or longer. Then keystroke demo. It's actually going to type demo, which is why it's in quotes. It's going to type in demo into that password field. We'll delay it again and have it hit return, and that's what's going to cause it to log in all of the computers at once. Once we're logged in, we're going to send the launch command, and this is one I like to use as opposed to sending a Unix command, tell it to open a certain file and the path to that file. I like using the scripting features to just have the operating system, just regular language, tell a certain application to launch. Now, activate is pretty important because what happens is the application launches and it is at the forefront. It is the focus of the action. If you type in, or if you have open, what will happen is the application will launch and it won't be the focus. So it'll be launched in the background. So I want to use activate there. And so the application launches, and then at that point, it builds its cache. You deal with the window. So for iTunes, for example, I do have another script here. I'll just show you what that looks like. So iTunes license agreement. So, and this is all Apple script.
Can you push that out to our screens? You can't read that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you mean the presentation?
Yes.
That's
Better
good.
get included with your slides.
Well, that.
Email us all those templates.
I can't really see it. No, because I got to click through this stuff. How are we gonna do that? How are we gonna?
This way. Let's do this.
Yeah, if I shared the screen, it wouldn't.
So, some of them may not work because they're sitting at the login window.
Yeah.
And there's some issues when you're sharing the screen at the login window.
Yeah. Some of them sitting at the login window, they're not getting what we're sharing right now.
I'll tell you what. Hang on though. Let's do this. Let's show you guys what it looks like at the login window. Yeah, we'll just do this and then we'll just hit that.
So you can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
So this is computer 13 on the A side. So where are you? Computer 13.
And this might illustrate more what it's doing.
Yeah. So we'll get rid of number 1. So
it's not logged in yet though.
What?
It's not logging. Is that the login command or the open?
Did y'all want to see the login process?
Let's
Okay.
just start.
Maintenance, Unix.
Yeah, so, sorry about the text. I guess we didn't think about that.
So this one we want to use. So here.
But we'll
D
make the
for
slides
demo.
available, and we'll figure out how to get them to you guys so you guys can see the actual text of it. Because that is a big part of it.
We'll just select authentication. I don't think there's any others. So again, this is a perfect illustration. If you're going to share this stuff out, you don't want to have your passwords there, but no big deal here. We're going to delay return. Delay. And I'll just type this out. Okay. Stroke. Demo. And what am I doing this? Just do it like that.
Take out everything. What was the number? 13?
I think it was 13. Where are you? All right. So we'll send it. Yep.
All right.
So
it'll look like this. So instead of actually touching each machine to log in, you can send a command like this. Have any of you guys done that before?
And
A couple of you? Okay.
I'll leave that there, and I'll actually kick off the iTunes one again. This is 13. So 13. Oh, we don't want to install. Click on the wrong one. Just launch. We're running out of time. Launch iTunes. Yeah. Give me just a second. We'll do this real quick. And so should launch iTunes. And so iTunes, yep, there we go. And I'll do this one real quick. iTunes.
And someone was asking about this type of stuff earlier. This is
perfect example.
Yeah, there's one way to do it if you're in a frozen lab with a generic login, but there's other ways to incorporate the local MCX settings to essentially agree by default.
So I'm going to send this command, and it should, well, it just failed, but it should actually click agree so you don't have to go and touch each system.
Yeah. And the way you find the key commands.
Yeah. So there are a couple of tools you want to use. Where is that?
I flipped it to the.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if you guys want to find the key commands that we're sending across with those scripts, key codes and Ukulele are two free apps.
Yeah.
Right, they're free?
Yeah, they're free. Ukulele you can find on the internet. Key codes you'll find on the Mac App Store. Key codes is a streamlined tool. I initially started using Ukulele, now I use key codes. And it's just more streamlined. And it allows you to see, do we have key codes on here? Did we put it on here? Key. No.
Anyways, whenever you type in a key or punch a button, it tells you what the actual code to throw into the script is.
So when you're creating these scripts, and I'll just go to like keyboard shortcuts, like the inspector. Key code, keyboard, let's go arrow down. So to engage the down arrow, it's key code 125. And likewise, some of the others, the numbers will basically change, but it just gives you a way of interfacing with the operating system. Like a lot of times you'll see something, a dialog window will pop up and you may want to cancel it. So that's key code 53. And that will actually, it's just like you sitting at the computer pressing the cancel button to get out of the window altogether. Yeah.
Okay, and then one last thing. Deploy Studio, for those of you guys who are using Deploy Studio but aren't using it with remote desktop, when you build your netboot images, you can kick off your netboot using this command, sending it via Unix through ARD to the machines. Marques's office is on the 5th floor of the building. He has labs on the 1st floor and also across campus. And I do also. There's people I support that are not in the building I'm in. And in Texas, it gets like 110 degrees in the summer. And it's not fun walking across campus. So this, for imaging, and you can actually use it to bind to like Active Directory, install profiles for Profile Manager. There's a lot of things Deploy Studio can do. And you can do it remotely and totally unattended from there. So when you're setting up your netboot image, and thank you guys for sticking with us. I know it's starting to get late. You got to create, deploy Studio netboot set, and at the authentication stage, there's a ARD.
That's where you put in your ARD username and password.
Right, and it has a VNC option too. I've never used the VNC option. I've always just stuck with the ARD stuff. But it's good stuff. I mean, it works and it works well. So when I'm deploying and imaging things, I don't even have to
get up. Yeah.
And there's some resources for you. This is about the nested templates stuff. And we'll figure out a way for you guys to get some of the commands that we've been using to pass through ARD. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
That's
So
it.
thank you guys. We appreciate you guys coming to our session.